Good afternoon, it's Kate Carews here, your content alchemist with some content gold on a Wednesday lunchtime. We are in week 5 of my series on insights from specialists. And this week we are hearing from Casey Woodward from Sound Consulting, and we're talking podcasting. Casey, good afternoon, how are you?
Hi Kate, I'm very well, thanks. Thanks for having us with you today.
You're very welcome. Tell me a little bit about you and Sound Consulting and what it is that you do.
Sure. Yeah. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Casey Woodward. Scientist by trade. More interested recently in looking at businesses and helping small businesses. And so I started Sound Consulting probably nearly 2 years ago, actually now, with the idea of actually bringing podcasting to the masses effectively and helping small businesses to share their message. So we work with a range of different companies, trying to help them to set up podcast channels, get the messages out there, and then help them to derive value from that.
Fantastic. So just to begin at the beginning, for anyone who's watching, explain, how does podcasting fit in the content mix? Why should a small business be considering a podcast?
Yeah, no, it's a really good question. I mean, I guess there's so many ways now people can share the message. You know, there's a million and one different social media channels, blogs, videos, and you know, we hear that a lot actually. You know, podcast, is it really worth it? You know, it's hard to monetize. You know, and you know, it's a little bit energy intensive, blah blah blah. But actually, podcast is really different from most other means. You know, so you know, starting right back at the very beginning, it's completely audio only, so there's no video, and that creates quite an interesting relationship with your audience. So, you know, it's the only type of social media really where it doesn't require 100% attention. So, you know, you can have it playing, but you could be driving, you could be you know, walking the dog, you could be doing whatever, you know, and actually you've got the potential to educate your audience about something, or, you know, advertise something or whatever. So in that sense, it's really unique. But also, you know, like everything else, it's super low cost as well. And I guess that's another kind of common misconceptions that kind of turns people off podcasting a little bit, at least initially. But, you know, as long as you've got a few basic, you know, a laptop, a microphone, and a bit of interesting content, you're pretty much good to go. So no, I think it's a really interesting medium, and, you know, something that people can get started from, you know, tomorrow if they wanted to.
Cool. So let's talk a little bit more about when you say it's relatively low cost. I think a lot of people's perception is that you need really expensive sound equipment and you need sound studios and those kinds of things. That you're saying is not the case? Oh,
definitely not. Definitely not. I think that people are surprised. You know, actually, what people want from a podcast is some interesting content that's, you know, not too difficult to listen to. Mm-hmm. And actually now most modern microphones will enable you to do that. I mean, we always say to people, get started, carve out a niche, you know, get some content out there, look at the feedback, look at the comments, and go from there. Really, you know, it's you can scale it up to make it quite expensive, you know, and if actually there is times when it's worthwhile investing in a better quality microphone and a better laptop and some editing software and things like that. But, you know, to get started, you know, you can buy a £10 microphone off of Amazon, or you can use, you know, if you've got an iPhone, you can use the headphone and microphone that comes with that. And most laptops now, you know, have got built-in software which is perfectly sufficient for editing audio. You know, if it's a Mac, you've got things like GarageBand. If you're using Windows, you've got Audacity and things like that. So there's loads of free, simple tools to deliver interesting podcasts now. And yeah, you know, you don't have to pay to upload them to iTunes. That's all free, you know, and actually now you can start to get them out in other areas as well. So things like Spotify, all of your different streaming sites, you know, Alexa and Amazon home devices, they can all play podcasts now as well. So, you know, it's all free, and it's just it's a really great way of getting into people's free time where they wouldn't look to otherwise.
Right. So that bit about getting things uploaded. So what I mean, do you need to have special tools? Are there sites that you go to that do all the publishing side of it? Are there particular places you need to go to actually get, if you want to get your podcast onto iTunes or onto Spotify or somewhere like that?
Yeah, so it's really quite straightforward. So record your content. So it might be a, I don't know, 15 minutes episode, half an hour episode, whatever. And then there's a number of different ways you can do it. So you can upload them to things like SoundCloud, which, you know, lots of people are quite familiar with anyway. Popular for music, obviously. There's dedicated platforms like Libsyn, which is probably the most well-known podcast and hosting vehicle. And simply what you do once you're on there is tick a box saying, I want to share this to iTunes. And, you know.
Oh, it's as simple as that?
Simple as that, you know. And I think that Libsyn costs, you know, $5 a month roughly. So it's, you know, in a grand scheme of things, it's the cost of a cup of coffee. So it's.
I mean, I am not a podcaster. So
not yet.
I didn't. Well, all right, not yet. But it hadn't crossed my mind that it was that inexpensive. Mm-hmm. I had thought it would be, you know, you'd be paying, you know, £20-30 a month to have those kinds of licenses.
No, not at all. I mean, I think there's, you know, obviously as time goes on and hosting channels have become more and more competitive with each other, the cost just continues to drop and storage space becomes much cheaper, and you know, it's a great time to get involved, I think.
Well, I'm truly amazed, because I really didn't realise that. I'm now thinking, oh, maybe I should be thinking about podcasting as well.
Absolutely, we should speak afterwards.
Yes, yeah, maybe we should. So that is a really helpful starting point, Casey. In terms of the kinds of topics that people should be thinking about, does it matter? Are there particular content areas that people are more inclined to listen to?
Well, that's a really good question. So it really depends on your audience, and so it's a little bit of a chicken and egg, because, you know, the content you create will generate an audience, and but the audience needs to generate the content. So there's lots of feedback loops within it. You know, it's not fast to build up an audience, you know, but there are ways you can do it through iTunes in particular. So we always say, you know, you need to start off by having a clear message, you know. So if you know what your business is around, you know, we know what the core values are, the missions, what you're trying to do, you know, you can understand who your target customer is for that. And then that would sort of kind of generate a rough blueprint almost for what types of content would be useful. So in our experience, it's typically content which is high value. So things which might help me to do something, learn something, impact my business in particular. So when we look at the statistics, you know, usually sort of business and entrepreneurial podcasts tend to fare quite well, but also there's light entertainment. So trying to merge the two of those is probably a good place for those looking to start. And I guess the other good thing with podcasting is that you can upload episodes relatively quickly, and you can get really good feedback and statistics and data around what episodes fare well and what content's, you know, engaging people, whereas what's not, and you can begin to create a steer around what types of podcasting you should look to do in order to engage your audience and keep them coming back for more.
Brilliant. Great. So, Casey, tell me, if somebody wants to start working on podcasts, or they've been doing it for a little while and they'd like a few hints and tips on how to make it better, how can they find you, and how can you help?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, I think that if you've got a podcast already, then that's fantastic. And actually, what we can do is, if we were working with you, we would look at the numbers to sort of see, okay, well, episode 2 scored really high. What was it about that was, you know, that was surprisingly good? Was it coinciding with an event? Was it something else that was happening in the background that was making it work, or is it the content? You know, so that'd be really good. I mean, we also do help people to set up their own podcast channels from scratch, and so if people wanting to get in touch and talk to us about that, then I suggest send us an email. It's probably the easiest way, or, you know, we're on social media as well, or LinkedIn. So again, perhaps I can send you an email address, Kate, or
that's fine, and we'll include all of that detail in the show notes and in the blog that you've also done for us. That will be fantastic.
Very kind.
thank you very, very much for your time today.
My pleasure.
And for all your insights. Next week, I will be talking to Sarah Swanton of Happy Healthy Entrepreneur, and she's going to be talking about some of the mindset challenges that people have around all of these different types of content and getting them out there. So for now, if you know of anybody who wants to know more about podcasting, or if they want to get some advice on how they can make content work for them, then by all means share this post or tag them in the comments below. But for now, Casey, thank you very much.
Just go.
Everybody else, have a golden afternoon.